Hello, and welcome to I Want to Be a Better Coach. I'm Dr. Rosie Kuhn, as you know, if you've been here before. If you haven't been here before, welcome, and I'm glad that you're here. The intention of these videos, this series, is to support and empower you to kind of question where you are in your relationship with people, whether you're a coach or maybe a therapist, or maybe you're a healer, or maybe you're a person in, you're a bartender or work in a salon, or wherever you are connected with people and you want to have a way of speaking with them and being with them in a way that really supports them and you and feels more fulfilling. And sometimes as a coach, I trained as a therapist and I trained as a spiritual guide, and then I trained as a coach. And it's a different way of thinking and feeling and experiencing relationship. As far as I'm concerned, this is my experience. I've been doing this for about 45 years. And so I wanted to bring something to the world of, personal relationship, professional relationships that could maybe benefit us by going a little bit deeper in terms of I want to be a better coach. So today I want to talk about what I want for my clients. And I'm going to start by talking about a session I had this week with an individual who's in a different country. She was in Pakistan. And she is very challenged with her job in corporate world, not unlike people in the Western world, if you will, where she is feeling overwhelmed and overworked. And there's some elements of bullying in her life, in her professional life. And she's making some major mistakes, which makes sense because of being overworked, overwhelmed, and being treated poorly in her circumstances. And because she's in HR, it's like, I don't know. I don't know enough yet because I've just had the one experience with her, one session. But she asked me, we talked and I waved my magic wand. I have to show you my magic wand because this is really important. I talk about transformational coaching, and we're not about presto magic coaching, but the magic wand quite often helps people get a sense of what they really want. And so this woman, she's very exhausted and emotionally she's been oppressed and suppressed and her culture and her family life is such that she can't just up and quit her job. So I waved my magic wand and I said, if you could have whatever you wanted, what would that be? And in a very weak voice, which makes sense, she said, I want strength. And in a sense, what she wanted was strength to stay in the job and endure what she's been enduring. She wants strength to move through the exhaustion, move through the overwhelm. But there's really, okay, so that's what she wanted rather than me going, but. So what I want for my client, this really helps me see what I'm about as a coach. And I want you to do this for yourself. What part of what I want is for you to question for yourself, what is it you want for your client? We do this work as a therapist, coach, bartender, whatever, where we're connecting with people. We do this for a reason, because we want something for ourselves and we want something for the people that we serve. So what did I want for this woman? What I wanted was for her to see, first of all, that she's in a dilemma. And in a sense that if she stays in this job, she may get fired because she's making mistakes because she's overwhelmed, overworked, and as she used the word bullied. And people make mistakes and then they get fired. And so in that sense, if she stays, the potential for her leaving that job there's a good potential. And so, but when I asked her, so have you looked at other positions? And her answer was, first of all, it would take a lot of energy for her to do that. And because of her requirements of her family and her culture, she needs to have that money and that income. So she hasn't yet looked at another another place, and she said maybe they would have the same issues that this place has. So when I'm with my client, what I want them to see, I want her to see, I want people to see that they have a choice, even though the dilemma is what it is. The dilemma is, this is exhausting, this is not good for me, this is not good for my health, it could be a real detriment to my well-being, I could lose the job. On the other hand, I don't know where to go. I might have to start over. I don't know that I make enough money. It may be the same situation. So 99% of the time when I'm coaching, people are in a dilemma, this, or sometimes this, or this. But generally there's a dilemma, not a problem, but a dilemma. And I see that as the dilemma is I don't know how to choose. I don't know how to move forward. I feel stuck. I feel scared. I feel like I don't know how to do me. I don't know. And I asked this woman, and she had told me that she had worked in the field of she loves, I'll say she was in the field of medicine, but had to leave that for something more stable at that point, at the point where she had to make choices to take care of her family. And I said, well, what keeps you from going back to that? And she said, well, it's been, 15 years. I would have to start over at the very bottom. But when she was talking about that profession, the health profession, she lit up. There was a light that showed when she was talking about that. And so we have a dilemma of, here's what's required of her to make a certain amount of money to take care of her family. Here's where she's being exhausted and overwhelmed and abused. And here's where she feels she has no choice. But if she doesn't choose differently, if you will, she may get fired anyway, and she may or get sick. Dis-ease. I call it dis-ease because if there's not ease in this situation, there's dis-ease. Call it sickness, physical sickness, well-being. But there's an emotional, mental dis-ease here. And a lot of people in the corporate world feel this. A lot of people in the world today feel this dis-ease. So as a client, as a person, me, being with people, I can't solve their problem because there isn't a problem, but I can support them in seeing who they are. I can witness where they are and share with them and say, here's where you're at. And here's potential of growth or no growth. Here's where you have light. Here's where you could move into a different company. Like, how do you be with that? And in asking those questions, she's already asking those questions. So I'm not bringing anything into the picture that she hasn't already considered. In fact, she was the one that brought in the word bullying. And it was like, wow, that's big to acknowledge that. It's like holding that space for clients to say, what is it I want for you? In a sense, even now with this video, what do I want for you? That's what the foundation of every single one of these episodes is what do I want for you? And I want for you the same thing I want for all my clients, is I want you to see that the dilemma is I want this, but I don't want that, or I want this, but I don't want to have to choose. I don't want to have to go through the transition of the uncertainty. I know what I've got, overworked, overwhelmed, bullying, but I've got financial security and stability, which my family needs, and I don't know what's over here. So the dilemma is always there for you as a coach, to say, what's my dilemma? What is it I want for my clients? And what's in the way of me actually being able to support and empower them to have that? So when I wave my magic wand and my client says, when I said, what do you want? And she didn't say, oh, I want to be, what I really want to be in the field of medicine. She said, I just want strength. I want to be strong. And I want my clients to be able to go, I really want that sense of fulfillment and light that I feel when I'm in my happy place, when I'm knowing what's mine to do in the world, in a sense, the medicine. And how do we be in that? And that's the challenge for us as coaches, is we're not going, okay, let's get you to what you're wanting. We're talking about this moment that's really a struggle for people. Even though it doesn't feel like a struggle, it's a struggle for us to go, how do I be, and how do I choose what I really want to choose? Now, what I want from my client is for her to go, oh, that's a no-brainer. I got to get out of this because this isn't working for me. I'm making mistakes that's going to cost me a lot, and my company. So I got to get out of here. And so I'm going to go look for something. That's what I want. And for her to look for something and be proactive in saying, and when she says, well, maybe it'll be the same kind of company, I said, this is where you have choice to interview them and say, look at the culture, look at how people are. Are they happy? Do they stick around? Do they stay in the job? Do they care and respect each other? You get to ask those questions. So I'm saying that in a sense, I want my clients to know they have that ability and the right to choose for themselves and say, this feels right or this feels not right, regardless of where one lives in the world. We have the right to ask those questions and make the best choice we can for ourselves. So, what do I want from my clients? I want them to be able to see they're at choice. I want to be the witness so that they come to witness themselves in that strength and that courage that they already have, to look at what options and choices they have. And to look at it, and the word discernment comes up. I think an important part of our job as a coach is not to get our clients to an end result, but to discern how are they being and what's really true and what's the enrichment and fulfillment in their life and there's a lot going on. What keeps me stuck and lost? What keeps me from actually making those choices? I want people to be able to say, I'm scared to do that. And it's like, yeah, I totally get it. I'm constantly facing elements and aspects of my existence that's like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to, it's a dilemma. I have dilemmas in my own life. We all do. So I want that for my clients. I want to be the witness for them in their strength and their courage and their convictions, what's important. And I love that her conviction is to take care of her family. And how does she do that in a way that's really taking care of herself and her family at the same time? These are not easy answers like, oh, how do you do that? Bada bing, bada boom. It's not like that. There's a discernment here. There's a quality of conversation that I want to have with my client. I want to create this room, this space, this presence where they can witness and feel into their own true knowing. So that brings up the dilemmas and goes, yeah, there's this and there's this. And I go, yeah. And it's not a quick fix. It's a process. But once you kind of get an idea of, oh yeah, this is making me sick, I think I have to make a choice. And if I don't leave and I get sick, that's not good for my family. That's, we get clearer about, gosh, it doesn't make sense to stay. Or it doesn't make sense to leave. Whatever that is, it's not mine to say. It's not mine to say. So the other thing I want to bring up here is this person. She said, Rosie, how do you not get overwhelmed with all the people that you work with? How do you not get overworked? How do you not get exhausted by the people that you sit with? And again, I had to think about this. It's like, what's true for me? And the truth is, first of all, we're coming up to number 50. Next week is my 50th video for this series, so that's kind of nice. And in that, it's like, my truth is, in the evolution of my coaching is into a more and more spiritual perspective. So she asked me that question, like, how do you not get overwhelmed? And I said, first of all, I see that I'm sitting with a spiritual being choosing to have a human experience. So I feel the honor and the reverence and the privilege to sit with the people who come to me. I see them as this spiritual being who's come here and may be challenged by this human experience that they're currently in. When I recognize them as that spiritual being and honor their journey, then I'm excited and again feel that honor and privilege and respect. And so I'm not at all exhausted by being present to them and with them and witnessing, hey, here you are as the spiritual being having this human experience. And yeah, you're being challenged right now. And yeah, there's these dilemmas that are showing up so that you can see how you're choosing as a spiritual being in your own evolution, in your own witnessing of your own becoming. And so that for me is really important, greater and greater degrees, to go, wow, I'm so privileged and honored to witness the people who come to me. I have a client, you may have heard me speak of her. She is basically in remission from stage 4 ovarian cancer. And watching what's occurred for her has been remarkable, in that she's gotten herself into remission, and she's no longer a victim to her cancer. She has been afraid and in reaction to her cancer, but now she's beginning to see, oh, this is part of my spiritual evolution, to see how I'm looking at this cancer, or how I see my parents, or how I see my life, and how I've been recreating over and over again this patterning of, oh my God, this is the bad thing, and it's influencing me, and I got to get help. And she's shifting in such a way that I'm honored to witness her evolution, her becoming. And that's what keeps me from getting exhausted and overwhelmed and overworked. And because I choose to have fewer clients than some people. I only have 5 clients a week. And I do that because I also write, and I also am part of a ministry program I'm growing and developing. I'll tell you more about that another time. Spiritual guidance and those kinds of things, training programs. So there's other elements of my life that are also really important, but my well-being is really important. And if I'm getting tired through working with my clients, I've got to balance that. So I balance it in such a way that I can be 100% totally present to my clients. And when I'm writing, I get to be 100% available to that. So when my client says, what keeps you from getting overwhelmed and overworked? It's all of that, balance with, I know 5 to 6 clients a week is pretty much my edge, as well as writing and training and all the rest of it. But the other thing is being able to see with excitement, oh my gosh, there's this spiritual being here having a human experience, and they're challenged, as we all are. And they're saying, hey, I don't know how to be me here. I don't know how to do this work. And I'm grateful that I've come to this far in my own training and my own experience directly, personally and professionally, that I can go, yeah, I get it. This is a challenge. And not just a challenge in terms of what's your physical capacity for staying with overwhelm and overworked, but what are you doing here in terms of what's this unfolding? What are you here to learn and to grow through and to witness yourself? Again, witnessing my client who's coming through this process of cancer. It's not just that she's getting her body's physically well from having cancer, but she's emotionally and mentally starting to grow herself in ways she didn't even know were part of who she is. And that to me that's the awakening that's happening for so many people, not just my clients, but so many people, this awakening is happening. And to be a witness to that is awesome. Which brings me to point number 3 I want to talk about, which is what I witnessing people. Generally, we've been trained to see problems. We've been trained, people talk and we go, oh, that's a problem, or oh, that's too bad, or we see the bad things of it and we're trying to fix it. A lot of us have been trained to fix, heal, convert, fix, heal, and problem solve and advise and counsel, get people to whatever. But when we start to, this is true for 99% of my clients, is when I see them and acknowledge their positivities, acknowledge where they're already awesome and doing exactly, having the life that they want, what aspects or contexts of their life where they're already doing things. When I can acknowledge that for people, it starts to wake them up even more. I can see things, and this is true from my own experience, where people would say nice things to me, or validate me, or acknowledge me, acknowledge my work, acknowledge my writing, acknowledge lots of things. And I go, yeah. I kind of disregard or dismiss it. But the consistency of that from me to my clients, they start to own it. They start to witness it in themselves. And when you start to witness it in yourself and they start to witness it in themselves, they start to integrate, oh, that's actually true. This client with stage 4 cancer, when she was first given the diagnosis, there was a place in her mind, in her being, that said, I'm not going to die from this. And, 2 years, 3 years later, she didn't die from it, but she never owned that was a declaration within her. I'm not going to die from this. And that strength, that truth, that conviction, that knowing, she didn't own it as, yeah, that's the truth. She couldn't, because our whole system in terms of cancers and medicines and chemos and all the things that, like, this is a bad thing and you have no power. This is an element of, they call it type C personality. Type A personality, we know what that is. Type B personalities. Type C is, we feel overwhelmed and we feel we have no power over people, places, and things. And that's a good a good candidate for cancer as a learning opportunity. You may not like hearing that, but everything is a learning opportunity. So when we can witness people in their strength, in their courage, as a true witness, not just making things up, but going, like really seeing the strength, that's when people can start to own it. So here's another example. A person she's a coach, and she's a Reiki master. She's a hypnotherapy master. She's an amazing woman on so many levels. And yet there's a part of her, like, she says, I'm really not disciplined at all. I can't do this. She trained, she's a trained hypnotherapist, but also coach and all these things. And she says, I'm not good at discipline. And I kind of laughed, and it's like, I said, what did it take for you to become a Reiki master? What did it take for you to become this level of coach? What did it take for you to become the hypnotherapist? It's like there's a discipline that's required, and there's a part of her that dismisses the discipline it took for her to become to take on and become masterful at any of these levels. And so again, here's this person that's highly achieved in many ways, very fulfilled in all of those places, and goes, I'm not very disciplined. But for me as her witness to go, look over here. What did it take? What happened over here that had you do this? Now, because of her desire and her sense of calling and fulfillment and excitement and just the sense of completion and compellingness of, we'll say, Reiki, then what would be considered discipline didn't feel like discipline. It felt play and effortless to a large degree. She loves putting her hands on people. She loves the sense and the quality of experiencing what she's experiencing. She loves that attunement. She loves what happens with her clients when she's doing this work. So she's disciplining herself, and she was saying, there's a part of me that gets distracted, and I have to stop that part, and I have to do this and this and this, which is all discipline. So for me to witness her and say, can you see how you are disciplining yourself this way in these circumstances? She goes, wow, I never saw that before. And sometimes it seems like what we're doing is pretty simple to say, hey, can't you see how disciplined you are, how rigorous you are in creating this level of mastery? And she goes, I didn't see it. I didn't see it. So we become the witness for where our clients are already doing what they say they can't do. And quite often people will say, hey, I don't have the discipline to do that. And I go, wow, where? And they've told me enough of their story. And I go, wow, how did you learn to drive a car? Or how did you learn to tie your shoes? Or, wow, you go skiing every weekend and you're doing these, Black Diamond Mountains. How did you learn that? Or how did you, they maybe have a good job. Everything takes a discipline, but we disregard ourselves in so many ways. But for me to ask the question, where are you already doing this? Where are you already effective and fulfilled? Where are you already fulfilled in your life? And they go, I'm really fulfilled when I'm playing with my nieces and nephews. I love that. It's like, excellent. Or I love when I'm in the shower and I'm just letting go and I'm actually singing, like these moments. We've talked about this before. So if I ask the question and witnessing the positivity, witnessing them as spiritual beings in this evolution of themselves through this human experience, as I witness that for them, they begin to witness it too. So the woman with who's basically cancer-free, all the PET scans and everything says there's no cancer there. She's basically cancer-free. It's hard for her to own it. I'm cancer-free. Because she's so used to having something that's coming at her, something that's overwhelming her. And we live that way. A lot of us live that way. Not everyone, but a lot of us do. And so as coaches, we want to pay attention to that. Go, wow, look at where you're already fulfilled and connected and engaged and doing stuff that's fun and fulfilling and easy and effortless. Where are you already doing that? Oh, when I'm cooking, I love that. Excellent. That's a place where people are already this positive thing they want to become. So the point of all of this conversation is what I want for my clients is to see themselves in the fulfillment, that where they're already experiencing their fulfillment, where they're already engaged and connected and have the capacity for having the life they want. I want people to see that even when they're in a dilemma, and it's a difficult dilemma, all dilemmas are difficult dilemmas. When we can't make a choice, it's challenging. I don't know what to choose. It's like, I totally get it. I know what that's like. I don't know how to choose what to choose. And sometimes there's no choice. I have a cat. I don't know if I can show you. No, I can't show you. She goes away on walkabouts, and she was gone for a week. The second time she's been gone for a week. And it's like, what do I do with that? The dilemma is, do I worry? I can't go out and look for her. There's couple hundred acres where she could be too, she could be anywhere. What do I do? How do I do this? How do I be with this? And the dilemma is, do I want to be at peace with this? Not that there's something wrong and bad. She's just being out in the world, being a cat. Or do I want to worry about it? Do I want to be at peace? That's a dilemma. If I don't worry, because we're trained to worry. We're trained to be afraid. We're trained to be afraid. I want my clients to start to train themselves to say, I can do this. Much like the woman in Pakistan, to go, yeah, I am actually very strong, as opposed to saying, I'm strong, I want more strength. Where am I already strong? And that's my job, is to witness people where you're already strong, where you're already courageous, where you're already doing what you're wanting to be doing. Does that make sense? So I think that's it for today. If you are still here and you find value, it would be great for you to give me a like. That's a way of acknowledging and appreciating that there's a value here. And when you value and acknowledge people for where they're at and who they are and what they're providing, that's a big gift. Just saying. And people have their reasons for not giving likes, like maybe they don't want the influence of the algorithms or whatever. But be aware of, I don't want to tell people they're doing good work, or I don't want to acknowledge that this is a positive thing in my life. Look at that, because this influences how we coach. This influences how we be a parent. This influences how we be in relationship with people. I liked it. It was valuable, but I'm not going to tell you that because I don't want to. So it's all good. It's all good. I totally get it. I totally get it. So if you're interested, I have a group that meets every other week, a group of coaches. We talk about what shows up in our coaching, what shows up within ourselves that influences how we coach and how we come to this, there goes Gracie or Lucy. So anyway, if you're interested in that, if you have questions or challenges you'd like me to address, you can leave them in the comments below, or there's a form that in the description area which says, hey, what questions do you have you'd like me to answer or address? I have a lot of books that I've written and other YouTube videos here of value, and I'm also writing on Substack, Rosie Kuhn at substack.com, I think. So lots of places where you can engage with me, and look forward to hearing from you any way you want. All right, that's it for now. Blessings to you. Bye for now.